all. But what I am saying is that I am glad that those of you who are still around stuck with the show and the podcast, and I feel like the ones of us who are left are like the hardcore fans, you know, that have stuck it out this whole time. And that's kind of special. So everyone who's still listening, we're kind of a select group here, and we know what a lot of people don't know, which is that The Walking Dead may have had a dip in quality, but it came back, and it's great, and it's ending on a really cool, you know, it's good right now. And so
it really is.
I'm happy you guys are with us, and yeah, it just feels kind of, you know, like we're the ones who stuck it out, and now we get to enjoy how it is at the end here. So I think that's really cool.
We get to be smug watchers, which is the best place to be.
No one believes us, but
no, I was literally arguing with a friend this morning about it. I was like, I mean, I really think you should, even if you just go to season 9 and start there. And they were like, yeah, I don't know. And I was like, oh, why do I bother?
Yeah,
why do I bother with my evangelizing, you know?
I mean, the point of that wasn't to say this, but it did make me think, if you guys have any hardcore Walking Dead fans in your life that somehow don't know about us and you think they'll dig the podcast, I would totally appreciate if you would tell them about it. Just the easiest thing is to send them to podcastica.com for the end here. And last, I want to say, as usual, this episode's made possible by Patreon supporters like Mark Otway, who've pledged their support at patreon.com/Jason Kabassi. Thank you to Mark. He's the best. He's a England guy. He's part of the singing duo with his wife Abby. And
I thought it was that Mark.
Yeah.
I was going to say
they're great. They've guested as hosts before, and I don't know if they're still listening, but I hope so. If you guys are listening, love you guys.
We love you, and Abby, I owe you a message, and I'll get back to you. I've just been really crap at responding, but thank you for giving me this platform to tell our 6,000 listeners that I am behind on replying to messages.
All right.
Hi, Mum.
Hello, Mom. Enough of that. Let's get into it.
Attention, shoppers. Deadcast Top 5 in 5, 4, 3, 2.
All right, it's our Deadcast Top 5 this week. It's our top 5 highlights for Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 2, Acheron Part 2. So what'd you think?
I've been so stressed this week because Jason and I don't talk about the episode before the podcast.
We both wanted
and
to,
we both,
but we're like, no,
we both
can't.
finished recording last week, both went and watched it simultaneously, and then we're like, so we have a week to not talk about this. Holy crap. This episode was, I think, one of the darkest the show has ever done.
That's saying something.
I really think it was. It was definitely top 5 dark episodes. I don't know if I liked it or hate. It affected me. There was a lot in it that has stuck with me, that we'll get into today. It was very powerful as an episode, I felt. To the extent when I was rewatching and I found things that beggared belief or annoyed me, I was like, I don't care. This was quite atmospheric and very intense.
It was chilling. Yeah, I think I know where you're coming from, because it gave me that classic Walking Dead frustrated feeling I used to get sometimes in early seasons when they do things that, like with Randall, you know, I've gone on and on about him, like we're going to kill Randall, and here they're letting Gage die. And I'm like, really? Come on, really? I thought, I'm just like, it feels like they're trying to manufacture drama by having them do this awful thing. That's my opinion. But then I see other people arguing for it. And, you know, that's what they want to do. They want to get us, they want to have this morally questionable situation or this gray area situation where you could debate either side. But to me, it's just like, it gave me that old Walking Dead feeling. I almost feel nostalgic for it. Like, remember when I used to just feel really uncomfortable and thought something was lame? But it, like you said, it was, I mean, I think it was a great episode. It was really exciting, but there were just some moments I found really, really frustrating. Yeah.
The GIF I nearly sent you last week was the scene from the first Austin Powers film where there's a security guard standing in front of a really slow moving like roller, like tarmac roller, and he's like, no. And there's actually like 20 minutes past before he's ever actually going to get run over.
Yeah.
And I did feel a little bit like that at a certain point in this episode.
Right.
I was like, I feel like a lot of time has passed, and we could have opened the door.
Wait, we need to put this through committee first and take our initial vote. Then we'll have 30 minutes of debate. Well, they really didn't debate. I mean, she's just like, no, we can't save him because we don't have any ammo, which I feel like was a dig at him since he's the one who took off at the ammo. It's your own fault, dude.
Oh,
but
salty.
Yeah, but it's like, dude, didn't you guys all just like kill a whole horde of zombies in Alexandria with just knives, like in season 5 or whatever that was? I mean, you're in this really constricted area where it's super easy to just get 1 or 2 walkers at a time. You know, they're not and just bring the kid through, then just start knifing them. I mean, it seemed pretty ridiculous to me. It was hard to buy into the idea that it was not a good idea to save this kid.
It really, yeah, it was. I don't know. They were trying to show like dark. Yeah, I mean, maybe it was one of my points, so maybe I'll use it as my number 5.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because there was absolutely time to get him through that door. Like, this was the bit that I was
but
just
see, I don't
really,
know
really
if it was
struggling
about the
with.
time as much as she said we don't have enough ammo to clear all these walkers.
But when she said that, there was maybe 2 in the carriage, and I was just like, well, if you open the door really quickly, you probably could just scoot him right in and then just close the door. Yeah, I just felt a little bit like, okay, but the visual and the kind of gut punch of it was powerful and had echoes of Noah's death.
Them all standing there looking through at him was a cool visual and a chilling moment.
And his decision to kind of torture Maggie by, you know, really sticking it to her by kind of killing himself in that way. I think I read a review, or maybe I had a conversation with my partner about about why did he bother doing that? And I'm like, I suppose he was technically a bit dead before they started ripping him apart. I don't know.
I think that was
unclear.
why that he didn't want to be eaten alive. And
yeah, it
did seem like once they got to him that he was pretty out of it. I don't know if he was fully dead yet, but I don't know.
He was unconscious for sure.
Yeah, it seemed like that,
yeah. He died as he lived in a kind of vaguely annoying way. But yeah.
Right. I'm not saying I love the guy.
Jackson Pace was great in that scene.
Who's that?
Which was
that's
the actor.
Okay.
That was one of the zombies.
He was great as a zombie too.
He was a really good zombie. I was saying when I was watching it, I was like, it must be really cool on this show. Like, obviously it sucks when you die, but those that get to come back as zombies, that's pretty fun. I think Sonequa Martin Green did a really good job when she came back. Back in the end of season 7. So,
and some of the actors have, like, when you've asked them, or I ask them on panels, would you ever want to be a zombie? They were like, no. But man, if I was on the show, I would totally want to be a zombie. I mean,
absolutely.
I think you know what I mean. If you were one of the actors, if you're going to go out, why not be a zombie?
You'd like goof around, you know, do your thing. So that was good. And I was laughing after our conversation last week about Alden and how he was like, none of you can even look at him, can you? And he's just being so righteous. Yeah. And it's like, used to be a savior, mate. Calm down. Like, you're not the voice of reason here. So yeah, Gage's death was obviously one of the big kind of gross out talking point scenes in this. And I think I certainly got the feeling that although Maggie is talking the talk and making rough calls, they are still shaking her. I feel that after Gage had died, she looked unsettled. I don't think she looked stone cold heartless.
Yeah. Like she said after, we'll get into that story that she told, but she said she doesn't feel anything when she thinks of it, but she seemed to feel something at this.
I think she did. I mean, it's one thing to not feel something about faceless villains,
Armless.
about Zeds, but to someone armless, but someone who she's known since, because Gage was there when like Carl and Enid arrived at Hilltop. He's been around for a long time.
Oh, Carl and Enid.
Hang on, was Gage was Hilltop?
Henry,
was he not one of the dickhead kids?
Yeah. When Henry went
when Henry
Hilltop
arrived, yes.
to get some space and apprentice at the whatever shoe horse or whatever, I forgot what it was.
Yeah,
he met Gage and Addie and maybe some other kids, and
that's right.
Addie kind of had a crush on Henry.
And they got drunk.
Yeah, and they had this. I went back and looked. They had this zombie in a pit, and they were like throwing stuff on it and peeing on it and stuff. And Henry jumped down there, and Mercy killed it, and Gage got pissed.
That is right. I had Gage muddled up with, because he looks quite like the kid who played Sam's older brother, and I got my generations mixed up. So yeah, okay. So Maggie probably doesn't actually know Gage in that way, so that makes it, I don't know, it's still a pretty shitty thing to do.
Well, I think she probably knows him because I think he said and I only know this. See, he's one of those guys who's been around a while, but I kind of lost track of, so I had to go back and look up his story. But it refreshed my memory that he had been there half his life. And she was the leader of Hilltop, so I think she knew him.
I suppose, yeah, because I was thinking he's probably about 18, 19 here. So yeah, he had been there quite a long time.
I guess, yeah, who knows for sure, because she's been gone a while too. But yeah, anyway.
Well, R.I.P. Gage, we hardly knew ye. Well done on going out in a very vindictive way and doing a lot of good face acting. That is what I will remember you most fondly for.
I mean, so I looked him up, and he was kind of a punk kid at Hilltop, but he wasn't one-dimensional. I mean, he was friends with this girl, Addie, who had a crush on Henry and ended up on a pike because of the Whisperers, her head on a pike. And so he had a grudge against the Whisperers. He was one of the people training with Aaron on the beach. He helped take out waves of walkers sent in by the Whisper, so it's not like he was a coward. He was in there helping and training and stuff. But probably the darkest thing he did that turned me against him was he was one of the people who ambushed and beat Lydia.
Yes, not a good move.
Yeah, and Negan stepped in. So so I mean, you just based on that, you might be like, fuck this kid. But I mean, this is a case of The Walking Dead doing a good job sort of reflecting society, how we succumb to our fear and do bad things because of it sometimes. I mean, I'm not trying to stand up for him, but anyways, in this case, you know, he got freaked out about being down in the tunnel. I mean, Negan was it's kind of Negan's fault. He was telling everybody, what are we doing down here? It's gonna flood, and Maggie just wants to kill me. And Gage is like, he's right. And so him and Roy,
completely understandable.
Yeah. But what's not understandable is they took the supplies and ammo with them. That was pretty fucked up. Like, you're just leaving everybody without the ammo and the supplies.
And then they freaking lost it. It's like you didn't even effectively steal it and keep it. You just oh my goodness.
So I don't know. It's not a great guy, but still, I mean, he's their friend, I guess.
There are people.
Took the ammo. That was bad.
There are people in that train carriage who've done worse stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Like that's what I would say. Is like, yeah, not great, but also like, Gabriel. Are we?
Yeah,
okay.
And Gabriel's the one who he's like, he died a coward, and it's like, I wasn't sure what he meant by that, because he stabbed himself. I don't see that as cowardice if you're just trying to avoid being eaten alive, but maybe it was about how he took off and with the ammo and everything. I don't know. That's
mirrored by what's his face? Is it Roy, the guy that Daryl finds?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he says,
"Don't tell."
See Thomas Howell, he's like, don't tell my kids I died a coward or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't die, but then he does. So spoilers for the end of the episode.
Right.
That does happen. And yeah, I mean, they were cowardly and they did run away, but I don't know that they died cowards. Like, you know, anyway, yes, it's a bit rich for Gabriel to say that to somebody, really, isn't it? But here we are.
Right. And then, you know, Alden responds, "That's a hot take. He was scared, but he didn't deserve to die like that in the worst way imaginable." And I'm like, man, I bet Peter's just sneering at the TV right now.
He was so pissed off. He was like, fuck that. Who died him in Alden in charge of everything? He's so annoying. And I also was like, did they, like, hot take, I feel like, is a word.
It's
kind of thing
newer.
that's come around in maybe the last 5 or 6 years.
Yes.
So, like, so Alden is so
I mean-
hip that he knows words that did not exist in the zombie apocalypse. Cool,
Right.
okay,
I thought
whatever,
that
Alden.
too. That felt a little out of place because the zombie apocalypse happened in 2010, right? And I mean, hot
Yes.
take was a phrase before that, but I think people, like kids weren't using it, and it was more like,
No.
oh, that's an interesting take, not, oh, that's something that most people won't agree with, which is how it's used now.
Tune in next episode when Negan says #Karen to Maggie or something, and we're like, Negan, no,
Alden
you
should
didn't.
be
You
the
probably
only
weren't
one
on
to just
Twitter.
use phrases from, like, talking about, I don't know, Facebook or something. I don't know.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. Oh wow.
Or
yes.
Instagram.
Mm.
So anyway, and then I mean, this is one of my points too, that they end up having to fight all those walkers anyway, of course, and then it's
Such a
with
waste of time.
other ones coming from the other direction, so it's even worse than if they would have just taken care of it in the moment. So I don't know. It was a chilling scene, but I felt too much like I didn't really believe that in that situation they would do that, especially because I think they've killed enough zombies that they would feel like they could handle this. I think they could handle that no problem, and they did. They ended up handling it no problem. I mean, they freaking have John Wick on their team, so so anyway. All right. I actually can
That
I
was
go
my
I mean,
number
I did,
5.
that was one of my points too, but can I do the next one?
Of course.
Okay. So it's I realized that Acheron is actually a metaphor for the show ferrying me to my own personal hell, where Negan can try to kill Maggie and everyone, including Maggie, immediately pretends like that didn't just happen and it's all fine. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, he did make the point that he didn't kill her so much as not actively help her.
Yeah. How would that stand up in the court of law? I mean,
Interesting question.
maybe it would. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's why she gave him the gun, you know, because I mean, because, hey, we need help right now. We're in trouble. But also she bought that, okay, maybe he will leave me to die, but he won't kill me. But I mean, that in that moment when she's about to get eaten and he could easily pull her up and doesn't, that is, in my view, basically the same thing as trying to kill somebody.
Yeah, I mean, it's shitty. I'm not like everyone go and do that. I think what I enjoyed about that was that Negan didn't try and deny it. He was just like, hell yeah. I thought that was quite...
I mean, to
I'm
me,
not saying...
I don't want to get political here, but it's like Trump. You know, Trump just says what he does, and then everyone's like, okay, I guess it's fine then, since you said it out loud.
I don't know that I felt the Trump thing with it, but yeah, it was interesting to me that was the angle they took with it. Yeah, I don't know, it was strange, but they seem to have, I don't know, I kind of felt like Maggie respected him more for not trying to shit his way out of it.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, dude, if I was about to die and someone could save me and didn't, and they later, when I came to confront them, they said, yeah, you're right, I didn't save you, I'd be like, oh, well, I admire you for admitting that, so I'm not mad anymore.
Yeah, after this episode, though, I'm not so sure about Maggie's judgment, so I'm kind
I mean,
of like...
it pissed me off. And I don't know. I guess that's all I need to say. I just thought that was total bullshit. I mean, I think... So here's the thing, is Maggie is trying to hold on to that light within herself. If you can take what she's saying at face value, which I'm not so sure, but just for the sake of argument, let's say that. So I think she said last episode, you know, the woman who left 6 years ago is not the one standing over you now. There's a little bit of her left in me, and that little bit is the only thing keeping you breathing. But I don't know how long that's going to last. So keep pushing me, Negan. And I'm like, leaving her to die wasn't pushing it. I think that's pushing it. But I still, like, I guess she's trying to hold on to that humanity or something. I don't know.
What did you think about her giving him the gun?
I mean, I'm like, all right, if they're going to have her do something that completely seems insane to me and just forgive him for killing her or for leaving her to die, then yeah, sure, why not? I don't care anymore. It doesn't make any sense. I think it's all shit. But I guess fine, whatever. I don't know. At this point, that part of the story, I feel like I'm watching a show that makes no sense.
Interesting. Okay, I feel like I'm good cop this week because I'm like, I liked it.
Like I don't understand how. Like, well, for one thing, the fact that she didn't shoot Negan in the face immediately shows that his fears last week were completely unfounded. He thought she took him down here just looking for an excuse to kill him. Well, she had a damn good excuse because he left her to die and she didn't take it. So that shows that he was completely wrong. Also, she was saying all the things she was saying about going up top was not a good idea. Well, that turned out to be true because C. Thomas Howell came running back down all fucked up. I don't even know what happened with him, but apparently it wasn't a good idea. So I think everything Negan was freaking out about last week was totally unfounded. That if Maggie was going to kill him, she had a huge opportunity right there, and didn't take it.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know that he was entirely wrong though, because he called her out on it. And kind of that, I think that's what gave her pause about killing him in the scene we saw in this episode, because everyone's kind of like, oh my God, how dare you leave her? And he's sort of like, well, she did just literally talk about how she was probably going to kill me at some point. So forgive me for not wanting to, again, pick her up and rescue her.
She said, if you just play ball, then you'll be fine, basically. And she killed Gregory for trying to kill her. And I mean, this, was years ago. So I don't know. It just, I just can't get over that she's there screaming, Negan, help me. I'm about to die. And he says, nope, sorry. And that you're just going to forgive that. Like after this guy who bludgeoned your husband's head to death and you're just looking for an excuse to, I mean, it seems like it's not even a problem now. Like when they get back home, she's not going to say, okay, now we need to deal with what you did. It's just like, all right, I guess you thought I was a danger to you, so it's fine. I just don't buy that. I don't like it.
I mean, they kind of got interrupted by Gage as well.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah. And Negan wanted to save him. Like he was the one who was like, let's get this door open. And Maggie's like, no. So I don't know. I'm just annoyed by this the Gage stuff and the Negan stuff. I'm really annoyed by.
Is there any what would you like to see happen in the next episode to kind of,
I mean, at this point, well, I'm of two minds. One, it does seem like Maggie's sort of softening around Negan. She trusted him enough to give him the gun and she forgave him for leaving her to die. And so I think maybe the idea is to just get over this whole rivalry, not have it be something that is an arc over the last season like we thought it might be, and instead to just move past it. So at this point, I'm so annoyed with it. I'm almost like, yeah, just move past it. Don't let me sit here and have to talk about this on the podcast anymore because it just annoys me. But then on the other hand, there's this whole thing about, well, Maggie's, maybe she's not what she seems, which is another one of my points. So it maybe that goes together. Maybe getting past the stuff with Negan and exploring what's going on with Maggie is what is past that. I don't know.
Well, I don't have many Negan points this week. In fact, I don't have any Negan main points. But my next point was going to be about Maggie's story, which I think does kind of tie into the relationship with Negan in a way, because he seems to understand what she's saying at the end of that story.
I didn't understand that, so I'm hoping you can explain it to me.
Yeah, I was going to ask you the same question because I'm sort of like, hang on, what? So I actually went and got the subtitles. So I'll say my general stuff about Maggie's story and then why, A, I don't understand it, and B, not sure it's relevant to the Gage situation. I think at the end of it, I wrote, not sure this helps re-Gage.
Like, why are you telling a ghost story right now?
So, kudos for creating an absolutely horrifying story that was utterly chilling, and Lauren Cohan was great in that scene because she managed to deliver this very long, very static monologue and make it very atmospheric and kind of horrifying to listen to. Shout out to all my X-Files fans. It is very much reminiscent of episode 2 of season 4, which was called Home, and was banned on a lot of networks and not re-shown for many, many years because it had a very disturbing story with lots of graphic content around inbreeding, sexual assault, and kind of Texas Chainsaw Massacre-esque deformity things going on. That's a very bad description of it, but it was very much, in fact, Rima, if you're listening, I know you're thinking about it as well. It's one of those episodes of the X-Files that just really pushed the absolute boundaries of what was acceptable to kind of show on television and to talk about. And if you've ever listened to the Johnny Mathis song Wonderful, Wonderful after watching that episode, I applaud you because it still gives me the creeps. So it interested me because I was like, there's no way people on that writing staff are not aware of that episode. If you're working on this show, you're going to be familiar with that material. So that interested me as a sort of jumping off point for the story she tells. So the story she tells is horrifying. The upshot of it being, I think that, you know, there are these awful deformed women whose bodies are so abused and used and they seem like walkers, but they're not. Their hearts are beating, and Maggie looks at them and thinks there must be food here if they're still alive. Yeah. So there's
I'll tell it really quick.
Yeah, of course.
So Herschel and Maggie her son come across an old man kneeling over a grocery cart with clothes. He asks if they can get him help him get them home to his daughter and would give them food in exchange. Maggie knows he's lying, but follows him home anyway to see if, you know, she can get something, and reaches into his pocket, pulls out a chloroform rag that he was going to use on her and stuffs it in his mouth. Then goes in the house, and she says she found 3 deformed men, or she wouldn't even call them men, that came after her, and she killed them. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on with those guys. But then she heard some thudding from the attic and goes to the stairs, and a walker that used to be a woman falls down. Her arms and legs were cut off and stitched up, eyes gouged out, no tongue, gash in her throat, vocal cords ripped out. So pretty grotesque. And then she said her belly is round and full, and whatever was inside was trying to get out, which I presume is a zombie baby. I don't know. And then
seemed that way.
Then there's 3 more upstairs like that, but still alive. And so I think she kills them to put them out of their misery. But what she's thinking isn't, oh my God, this is horrible, but more like there's food. And she had said that she was starving and Herschel would be soon. So anyway, I think the point as that relates to Gage is because she had started off that story saying there's worse. I know that I've seen worse ways of going, or something like that, that sometimes you need to deal with this darkness. Well, with Gage, it was like, I don't want to risk all our lives to save this kid. And here it's more like, I need to feed myself and my son. So that's what's most important to me. You know, sometimes you have to choose what's most important versus, I guess.
Also, I feel like, okay, that's a really fucking gruesome story, horrible way to die. It doesn't mean Gage's death was nice. I'm like, it's like, it's an economy of scale, really, isn't it? I'm like, okay, yeah, that sucks. I don't think that would have comforted Gage as he had to, like, commit some kind of samurai atrocity on himself and then, you know, be eaten up by a crowd of walkers while you all watched and Alden kind of looked smug. I'm like, yeah, okay, I mean, it's kind of like, I didn't know, it was a bit like, I've seen some shit, I've seen some really dark stuff, so like, I don't even care about it anymore. And I'm like, yeah, okay, but you know.
Well, what it made me wonder about Maggie is she saying that she just cares about herself and her son, and everyone else she will use, but she doesn't care about them, which then it's sort of like, was Jason kind of right about her being a bad guy. And I mean, I'm kind of skipping around here, but we saw the Reapers at the end and they seem to have a mask on just like Elijah's and weapons like him. So I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Did Maggie lure them out there? What the hell's going on?
And just for any listeners, Jason's not talking about himself in the third person. That's a reference to our crossover episode with Chris and Jason from
No, I was
the
talking
Talking
about
Dead.
myself.
Was Jason right? Was Lucy right? Like, we're always right.
Yeah, if you didn't listen to the crossover we did with Talking Dead, Jason Miles is saying he thinks Maggie's a Reaper, which I don't agree with, but now that he's put that in my head, it's making me wonder things.
It's an interesting take, isn't it? Like, as Alden would say, hot take. It is interesting to watch it with that in mind, because at the end, I had the same thing at the end when she's like, oh, we'll go this way and sort of veer off course. And I'm like, hang on, what the fuck? And it's like when Negan's like, this neighborhood went downhill. And I'm like, yeah, that made me a little cagey. I was like, all right. And Maggie's leading you here. Huh.
Well, she said there was a supply stash left by, what's her, Georgie, I think, with food and ammo where they could rest before they go on to Meridian.
Well, we shall see how that pans out. But the monologue was incredibly upsetting. And I thought some of the things that interested me most from a writing perspective were what Maggie didn't say or didn't elaborate on. So she says regarding the men that she handled them, and then regarding the women's bodies that she took care of them. Like, she's very, I don't know, it's a monologue that's like very graphic, but also in some ways not very graphic, and it's filling in the blanks that's the scary bit.
Yada's over some things.
Yeah, so I thought it was just a really interesting, powerful thing, and I thought that this episode as a whole, although it had some big action sequences, it did a lot with kind of sitting in silences and absences and not addressing things. And, you know, you see that a little bit in the Commonwealth storyline as well. You know, Eugene being driven slowly mad by things that, you know, people being missing or things that aren't there or not knowing. And Maggie's story, I think, dealt with that slightly in terms of like the darkest things you can see and how you express those. And when she says, you know, I tell you this and I don't feel a thing, I just don't believe her. I don't believe that she's at that stage yet. I think she wants to be. And certainly her group seem to have a different, more aggressive set of rules than our group when they think Maggie's gone. And I did laugh out loud that, you know, literally nobody believed Negan when he's like, oh, she was just behind me. Like, does like the world's most terrible lie. And they're all like, yeah, no one believes you, Negan. One of the group says something like, you know, we have to keep going on. Like, that's what she would do. And it's not like in a tortured way that some of our group might, but you see Gabriel and Alden kind of struggle with that a little bit more, particularly Gabriel. And I'm like, Maggie's group seemed to be maybe a bit more ruthless.
That seemed like such bullshit to me too. This Alden's like, somebody boost me up, and it's Frost, one of her Maggie's people that she's, you know, been with before she came back. He goes, you go up there, you're dead. She'd be pissed if you tried. She'd want us to keep moving forward. I'm like, well, there's no zombies up there.
Yeah, zombies can't climb.
Like, I mean, I wanted to tell you, Lucy, if we're ever in the zombie apocalypse and I'm missing and someone says that I wouldn't want you to go back for me, don't listen. Tell them maybe we could just take a quick peek. You know, maybe my jeans got caught on something, or I don't know. Just poke your head up and look.
I don't know. I mean, I'd need someone to give me a leg up. I'm not very tall, but sure. Okay, well, it's on air now, so I can't. If I say no, I'm going to sound like a dickhead. So I guess I'm going to say yes. Like, of course, I wouldn't run away, depending on the situation and the amount of ammo I had left.
Right, and my mood.
But yeah, they're like, what you would have wanted, and you're like, I think she would want you to maybe save her life. Like, you know.
I mean, you could just like, you know, poke your head up and take a look. Maybe call out Maggie.
You there, Maggie?
Well, I mean, really, seriously, what the hell? That is ridiculous.
It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. It's
nuts.
Really strange.
Yeah.
And this whole thing where like Agatha has her little bow and arrow, and she's like, say the word and I'll shoot him, basically. And I'm like, why don't you just say the word then and shoot him with Negan? Like, I don't really. Yeah, it's all a bit. I don't know. Maggie's new gang are kind of lame. I don't love them.
But I mean, I really don't want Negan off the show. I like him as a character. He's great. I just, in this situation, not thinking of it as a TV show, but in real life, if some dude just left me to die, I'd be like, you better get the fuck out of here. You know, if I'm not going to kill him, I'm at least going to tell him, hey, you're on your own.
Why don't we shove you under the friggin' car and see how you like it? Yeah, no, fair.
But what confused me about her story is she was saying something like, you know, it makes me appreciate Alexandria, what we have and what we had in Hilltop, and the camera shifts to Negan, who's like, sorry about that. But you know, she's saying it's rare. And then she says it has to be rare because if it isn't, and Negan continues, it means we were lucky. It means that nobody has it figured out. Nobody ever did, and nobody ever will. And I'm not sure what they're saying. It sounded like he's saying if places like Alexandria are not rare, that somehow means that nobody has it figured out. I'm like, wait a minute. If they're common, that means people do have it figured out. Or maybe he's saying if they are rare and they were just lucky that, maybe that's what it is, huh? If they're rare and they were just lucky, that means it was all potentially BS. I really don't know. I don't know what they were getting at here.
So I don't know either. I went through it again, and I'm just going to look at it again and got my little subtitles file because I'm like, what the hell? So when I watched it, I thought it was like #blessed. Like, you know, it's so great that we have this.
Yeah.
But then I looked at it again. So Alexandria is rare because if it's not rare, then we were lucky. And that means that nobody has it figured out. So what Maggie's saying and what Negan is saying in this new best friends show that they seem to be in together, the moment they fell in love, is
right.
The danger is if, oh God, so my head hurts. Hang on.
I think Negan is actually saying if he has to be, even though it doesn't read that way, that he's saying it is rare, and that if it is rare, that means that we were just lucky and we really don't know what we're doing and we can't figure out how to replicate it.
Yes, she's saying
that's the only thing that makes sense.
She's saying it's rare because if it was unrare, if it was common, then they were lucky. And that would mean that the world runs on a system of luck with nobody having anything figured out. But then Negan's saying, yeah, nobody did have it figured out. Nobody ever will. I think.
I mean, whatever they're trying to say, it's supposed to, I think, be a contrast with this new place, the Commonwealth, that they don't know about yet. But
yeah,
it's, you know, there's this theme of civilization in the show now, which is really fun and interesting to dive into. And I think this is supposed to, I mean, all the stuff that like Daryl found and what they're talking about here about they're lucky to have Alexandria is supposed to sort of be an echo of what Eugene and the others are finding in the Commonwealth.
What is interesting is that on the subtitles file, from a grammar point of view, after she says, because if it isn't, it's not, there's 3 dots, so there's an ellipses, which could mean that she never finishes that thought, and then she says, it means we were lucky as a second statement, which means something completely different. So who knows? Who knows? We never figured this sentence out, and nobody ever will. So that's where we're at with this.
Negan's the one who says it means we're lucky. But I think he's saying it is rare and it means we're lucky. I think that's what he's saying. It means that nobody has it figured out. Nobody did. Nobody ever will. And I think he's thinking of himself too. Like, I tried and I couldn't figure it out.
I'm sure we'll find out next week in a Maggie and Negan one-hander in which they talk about that sentence and try to make sense of it, because that seems to be where we're headed.
I really, really hope they don't end up as a couple. I just can't take that.
They're obviously never going to be a couple. That would be so weird. Can you imagine? Herschel, this is your new dad. How did you and my mom meet? Well, funny story. It was a dark night in the woods. I was having searing pains that made me look like I was probably going to drop dead at any minute, and then he killed your real dad, but now we're in love. Like, no, I don't like that.
He pretty much redeemed himself.
Yeah, he redeemed himself.
He did leave you to die yesterday, but...
Yeah, Herschel, did you know he really likes kids? Mom, I don't like him. Well, tough. He's your new dad, so get over it. Like,
if every episode this season makes me feel this way, I'm not going to like it.
No, I know. I hope that something has to happen to kind of change this dynamic, because I'm like, we're getting a lot of front-loaded Maggie and Negan, which is like great, but I'm also like,
Okay, anything else on whatever we were just talking about?
It was my point on Maggie's story. I do not have anything else to say about that at present.
Okay, let's talk about the structure of civilization, because
just a small sidebar into the structure of human civilization.
3-minute topic.
Let's do it.
Excuse me. I've mentioned a lot that I think with a post-apocalyptic show, it must be a challenge to write, to do complicated stories, because society is complex, and there's all these status differences and structures and, you know, institutions and things that you can write stories in and around, whether you got the job that you wanted or who you met at a bar or whatever. And with post-apocalyptic stories, a lot of it is just survival, trying to protect your people and your stuff from other people. That's it, you know, and how far would you go to protect those people? So now with organized civilization comes things like laws and money and economy and also a way of bettering your situation that don't require violence. And so it's interesting. Like, that's why Yumiko's part in this whole episode is so fascinating, because her superpower suddenly is relevant. She's a lawyer and a thinker, and she loves this whole organized structure, because that's where she can really operate well within and turn to her advantage. And that was really fun to watch. And it made me feel like for the first time, maybe the first time, that Yumiko is, okay, now she suddenly like takes her place in my heart with the rest of the main characters of the show, which I love when the show does that with newer people, makes us care about them more, you know?
I adore Eleanor Matsura, and this scene, it's actually also, in a rare moment of synergy, was going to be my next point as well, because Yumiko is just fab, and that whole monologue, the way she delivers it, the points she makes, is just really powerful, I felt, when I was watching it.
And the way she's advising Eugene, don't say anything that you don't have to. And
oh my goodness, that line.
And
Eugene, for the last time, do not talk to the law enforcement, or if you find yourself in a situation where you have to, stick to the story. I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. She's so great. I love her.
You're like, hey, you got yourself a lawyer, Eugene. You're lucky.
Yep, you're lucky.
and the way money fits into this whole theme of civilization. Like, Daryl finds this suitcase of money and also this $100 bill that somebody just used as a notepad. And I think we've seen money before on the show too, but usually the impact is just to remind us that it's meaningless now because the former world is gone. But this time, the suitcase full of money is a contrast to what's happening at the Commonwealth, where Yukio notes that, you know, she's like, you raked one of my people over the coals due to a $2 bill, which makes me believe your currency is the US dollar and that you need to strictly control the amount in circulation. You use familiar money as a powerful psychological tactic because you know how desperately people miss the old world. So yeah, money is part of civilization and organized society. And it also totally changes the dynamic of who's in power and how to make things happen and all kinds of things like that. How to motivate people and control people.
It was amazing. And there was another use of money in this episode, which was just as a little note from those kids to their dad about where they were going to go and meet them. And you saw this like $100 bill, which should be this amazing, you know, oh my God, $100 bill.
Valuable
and they're
thing,
just like, hey Dad, we're going to this place. And then you realize it's probably the kids from the week before. Not from the week before, you see a picture of these kids and one of them's holding the toy that we saw the week before.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Yeah, the little bunny rabbit or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and you just think, oh gosh, it's kind of meaningless and kind of meaningful, and yeah, really, really interesting things to think about in terms of money. And I love that idea of the control of money still being super powerful. This idea that, you know, money is a powerful psychological tool, and yeah, you're using it. Brilliant, just brilliant, assertive Yumiko, and it just really, really worked in that scene. She really took them down, and I think made a lot of points that we can assume are true.
I mean, yeah, she noted. I liked how she was sort of Sherlock Holmesing them. Like, I think you were a forensic psychologist or whatever, and just deducing that the Commonwealth takes people and figures out what they did in their former jobs and tries to plug them into similar roles. And then she kind of caught him off guard by saying, well, you're also trying to defend your own existence by, making it so that this role you're doing right now, a threat assessment, is important. But isn't it really that just anyone with gut instinct could figure out? And I'm like, not really. I think if you're a skilled interrogator, you can actually figure things out that maybe someone on just their gut instinct couldn't. But she was just trying to get at them, I think.
And she makes an interesting point as well that we've become much more aware of in the last year, is that you need everyone in a society, in terms of what she says about you actually need the people to clean the place for you. You need the people to support this infrastructure, and she's kind of poking holes in their way of viewing it and viewing value. And it was a really interesting point to make, I think, given what we learned about essential workers during the pandemic and how much amazing stuff they did when everything else was on its knees. So yeah, really interesting kind of takedown and insight into what the Commonwealth Society may well be like.
Mercer at the end delivers this very bureaucratic announcement: pursuant to Section A of the new Articles of Perpetual Union, blah, blah, blah. That made me think this Perpetual Union, and I've wondered this ever since we started seeing stuff with the CRN, the Civic Republic military, and this, we learned in Walking Dead World Beyond about the alliance of the three between the Civic Republic and communities in Portland and Omaha. But you and I know from the comics about the Commonwealth, so we're like, I wonder if they all know about each other, or are they just completely separate? I mean, hopefully we'll find out. What do you think? Do you think they're just going to be completely separate, or will they know about each other?
I'm really intrigued by that. Like, I'm really, really intrigued by that. And I'm intrigued by that bigger picture because, the Commonwealth, not a part of the CRM. And if it sounds like it's so big that they must know about one another, but how does that work? Is there further conflict? I am actually kind of wanting to know answers to these questions.
Will the internet be back up by the end of this season?
Will Alden be able to get onto Instagram to share his hashtag hot takes?
His hot takes.
His TikTok would be insufferable. He'd be like, I'm just like out in the field, just like thinking about loads of stuff. Like, oh God, gross.
I love
also,
Alden, by the way. He's a nice
high five for Mercer, who says to Ezekiel, I went to West Point, asshole. And I looked up West Point. West Point is a 4-year federal service academy in West Point, New York. It is very competitive to get into. It only accepts 10 students out of every 100 applicants, and you need a very stellar application to even be considered.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Actually, I'm pretty sure here in the States, people hear West Point and they know, oh, that's an impressive military academy.
Well, for all of you listening in the Europe and the UK who did not know that, that's what West Point is. I went and figured it out.
Nice.
Did you catch in Yumiko's monologue a little tidbit that might be very relevant for one of the characters we know and love?
No. I mean, we learned that her brother is a thoracic surgeon.
Yes, and I believe a thoracic surgeon could operate on thyroids.
Ezekiel.
Yeah, I went and did a little research. Fell down a medical journal hole, and I'm currently looking at who should perform thyroid surgery. United Kingdom, United States perspectives with recommendations. I'm sure you're all familiar with the European archives of otorhinolaryngology, as I now am, as of I would say 30 minutes ago. But I did think, that's quite interesting, because that is a very steep left curve from the comic equivalent here, and I did think that might be very convenient for Ezekiel.
Right? Yeah, could be. And it was also interesting how Yumiko, after she figures out from that note, oh, I guess the Commonwealth is real. She said that in this episode. So that made me realize, oh yeah, before that, for all they knew, this whole thing could be a big sham. But now that she saw the note from her brother, that's what makes her think, oh, I guess it's real.
Mm-hmm. She's in. She's all in. She's invested.
Yep. Yeah, she's invested now. And the last thing I wanted to say just about the whole topic of sort of civilization and structure and all that, the subway graffiti that for some reason Daryl's really interested in, even though his friends may be dying at the very moment. He's like,
Daryl really takes a moment.
Art.
He's like, this real deep, man. Doug, come over here. Look at this. It's symbolism.
Right. I got to write a paper on this. And do a podcast. There's paintings on the wall showing people with crowns and others attacking them like a revolution. And there's things like your crown for your life, no home, no work, hurry. And there's sleeping bags that make you think of homeless. So it all, to me, just speaks of class and what happens when there's too much of a disparity, which is sort of a warning sign for any civilization. That's what I got out of it. I don't know. What about you?
I think so. I think it was interesting. It was quite on the nose, but I liked it. It reminded me a lot of I'm pretty sure at the start of The Stand, at least in the novel, The Stand by Stephen King, which was televised recently and covered on our sister podcast, How Did a Strange Indeed. And it was brilliant. There are people going around with like money handcuffed to them and briefcases full of dollars and things like that. And I think it's really interesting to think about the way in which that so quickly becomes irrelevant and how the Commonwealth is reintroducing that relevance. In terms of the murals, it was a really cool image, and I think I agree largely with your reading of it. It's again, it's like money. It's the irrelevance of the crown. You can still get pulled apart even if you're wearing a crown. In fact, it might become more likely when those kind of barricades of society fall down around you.
Yeah.
It felt clunky pacing wise, like you say, to have Daryl kind of just very slowly looking at them for like large chunks of this episode. But I did enjoy it. I did like it, and it's probably the kind of thing that I would be very intrigued by if I had the luxury of not having to worry about getting eaten by a zombie in that situation.
I mean, speaking of luxury, like this episode shows the extremes of the benefits and the problems of society. These paintings show that because when you have money and certain people learn how to control it and then they subjugate the others basically, then, and if that gets too extreme, then there's a revolution. But with civilization also comes security and luxury. And we see that just because Princess is so excited about toilet paper. And I'm like, heck yeah, if you hadn't had toilet paper for a while, you'd be excited. And they bring Yumiko coffee, and it's, these are the kinds of things like I wouldn't want to live without.
No, 100% agree with that statement. And I mean, look at what happened to everyone at the start of COVID. COVID really doesn't have very much to do with your gastrointestinal system, but like, could you find toilet paper? Like, that was literally the first thing that went. People freaked out. It's and fair enough. I was also one of those people, but yeah, it's these things that we cling on to, and it's interesting. I don't know. I've had this really weird situation where like because we've moved continents, and as you know,
no pun intended with a Klingon comment, I'm sure.
Yeah, people cling on to moving. Like, so we moved, and obviously my microphone stand got stuck in our like boxes of crap that didn't quite get delivered on time from Canada, and it's amazing what you can live without. Like, this is the thing that I find really interesting, is as humans we cling on to these material things. And